Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for taking me out of order here. Good morning to Chair Eldridge and the honorable committee members. Thank you for identifying H 1826, an act to promote public safety and better outcomes for young adults, also known as Raise the Age. I'm happy to be a co-sponsor of this bill with Chairwoman Kay Khan. This is a bill that I think, as you look at it, think of yourself as a 17 or an 18-year-old individual and having to be before justice, and the shock of that. For my own children, I always was concerned, should anything approach them of a legal nature, they were both pretty smart kids, but nonetheless, being in a courtroom without some sort of parental support, and obviously moving on with the support of the system, I think too many of our young people have fallen prey to that system. And we don't do the type of rehabilitation that I think this particular piece of legislation really is talking about. So when we send 17, 18, 19-year-old adolescents to an adult facility, there's very little rehabilitation going on in those facilities. If they were to be sent to a juvenile facility, there's a much greater likelihood that their ongoing education would continue. I think it's really important to note that the developing brain continues to develop through the age of 25. So certainly if we have 18 or 19 or 20-year-old young adults acting impulsively, doing things that they probably would not do when they were 22 and 23, I find it very difficult for us to send them to an adult facility. I think it's also important to note in this bill that we are not changing any of the serious offenses. So if the first degree or second degree murder, if in fact an 18 or 19-year-old emerging adult was subjected to that type of a crime, those cases would be heard in the adult court. But cases short of that, I think is very important that we really look at making this move. We already view 18 to 20-year-old age groups as separate from adults. They can't legally drink, nor legally use tobacco until the age of 21. Transition age youth can receive Department of Children and Family Services up to the age of 23. Thus, it is simply logical to include them in the juvenile jurisdiction. I hope that the committee, and again, I want to thank the committee for getting to this bill so early in the month of October. I truly appreciate the committee's efforts, and I hope that the committee will give this a favorable outcome. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Let me recognize the fact that Representative Livingstone and Representative Hendricks have joined us as well from the committee. And I also see Senator Creem on the Senate side from the committee. Any questions from members of the committee for Leader ODay? All right, seeing none, thanks very much again for coming forward and your work on this bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate all of your work as well, and the committee. Thank you.
Thanks. Next, we'll call the aforementioned Senator Creem, Senator Cynthia Creem, and Senator Brandon Crighton, here to testify on S920, an act to promote public safety and better outcomes for young adults. Senators?
Thank you very much, Chairman Day. Thank you for taking me out of order. As a member of this committee, I do not usually speak on a matter, but this is a matter I'm very familiar with, and I worked with the sponsor, Senator Boncory, because last session, in my role as Senate Chair of the Task Force on Emerging Adults in the Criminal Justice System, I was chairing that committee when the matter came up and Senator Boncory filed it. As chair in that committee, I heard significant testimony from experts and advocates in support of increasing the age of juvenile jurisdiction in Massachusetts. And I want to thank Representative ODay for bringing, I agree with so many of the great points that he brought up. And several studies have found that emerging adults are generally more prone to impulsive behavior due to their stage in brain development. In fact, the brains of 18 to 20-year-olds are more similar to the brains of younger teenagers than older adults. These brain differences make emerging adults more likely than older adults to make impulsive, emotionally charged decisions that can result in a felony conviction and the collateral consequences that come with it. Keeping 18 to 20-year-olds in the juvenile justice system would help those young adults avoid the collateral consequences of an adult felony conviction, which can limit their eligibility for many professions and even certain housing opportunities. Reducing such opportunity as the beginning of adulthood make it more difficult for an individual to rehabilitate and avoid future criminal behavior. In some of our district courts, these things are being done. I see that District Attorney Ryan is here, and I know specifically of instances where she worked on rehabilitation for minors, for those in the juvenile system, and it made a huge difference in their life. In contrast, keeping these emerging adults in the juvenile system, it would connect them with the programs such that she had, and the programs that are available through DYS. Unlike the criminal justice system, DYS has an explicit focus on rehabilitation. Keeping 18 to 20-year-olds in the juvenile system would give them access to programs, reducing the rate of recidivism, and have a long positive effect. It is important to note that DYS is already experienced at serving youth up to 21. Under current law, certain youth who commit an offense under 18 are eligible to remain in DYS until their 21st birthday. In fact, as of May 2019, approximately 25% of youth in DYS were 18 or older. So how difficult is it to raise the age? Since the number of juvenile arrests and arraignments has only gone down based on available data, the juvenile justice system is equipped to begin incorporating these young adults. Although 25% of Massachusetts' young adult population is Black or Latino, 70% of young adults incarcerated in state prison and 37% of young adults incarcerated in county jail are people of color. Keeping the age of criminal majority 18 means that we are disproportionately depriving young people of color of the programming opportunities available in DYS and further exacerbating racial disparities. I'm very pleased today to be here with Senator Crighton, who is going to be working on this matter with me as well. And so I would ask Senator Crighton for his comments at that time. Again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Senator Crighton. Just 1 second, if you would. I'd like to welcome back our co-chair, Senator Jamie Eldridge, who was able to log on. Senator Crighton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, want to say thank you to you, Chair Eldridge, members of the committee, for the opportunity to testify in strong support to Senate Bill 920 and House 1826, an act to promote public safety and better outcomes for young adults. First, I'd like to say thanks to Leader Creem, as well as Leader ODay and former Senator Joe Boncory, and Citizens for Juvenile Justice for their hard work on this legislation and on this critical issue. As you heard, Senate 920 would raise the age at which youth transitioning to adulthood are tried in court as adults from 18 to 21. This legislation presents an opportunity to help youth who interact with the criminal justice system ultimately develop positive decision-making skills and change their life's trajectory. Our system supporting youth in the Commonwealth recognize how critical the transition from youth to adulthood is. As Leader Creem mentioned, DYS itself is already working with youth until they're 21 years old and have been for 2 decades. In addition, DCF, DESE, DMH, DDS, and our healthcare system all have specific policies and programs supporting youth to help ensure a successful transition to independent adulthood. However, our criminal justice system takes a conflicting approach. Take an 18-year-old high school senior, for example. The student's family expects to be engaged by teachers, guidance counselors, and other adults who are supporting their child's transition to adulthood in our public schools. Yet in our criminal justice system, this student would be treated as an adult, not as a child. Our current system is failing 18 to 20-year-olds, particularly our Black youth. Nationally, Black teenage boys are 12.4 times more likely to be incarcerated in adult corrections than their white counterparts. Young people incarcerated in the adult system have recidivism rates that are more than double that of similar youth exiting DYS. Treating teenagers as teenagers rather than treating teenagers as adults in our criminal justice system actually promotes successful rehabilitation and reduces crime. The juvenile justice system's emphasis on continued education, family engagement, mental health, and behavioral health is what the youth need, not interaction with an adult system that leads to recidivism and even escalation into more serious crimes. We have an opportunity to improve our criminal justice system and to help our transition-aged youth re-engage in our education system and workforce. I thank the chairman and the members of the committee for their time and consideration on this matter.
Thank you, senators, for your testimony. Any questions from members of the committee? If so, again, just raise the hand virtually. We'll make sure we call on you. All right, seeing none. Again, thanks, senators, for stepping up and taking over this